Atomic Habits, Chapter 9, The Role of Family and Friends in Shaping Your Habits. I'll start off by a quote that was at the beginning of the chapter. A genius is not born, but is educated and trained, by Laszlo Polgar. Laszlo Polgar was or is the father of three chess grandmasters, and he believed that there's no such thing as a genius, or I guess you could say talent. Uh, he believed that a person could be educated and trained to be a genius, and that's what he did. He basically ran an experiment with his three daughters, and he trained them or shaped them into being chess grandmasters from the day they were born. And he was right. So this whole chapter is about what your family and friends do, what their role is in shaping your habits and who you become as a person, basically your identity. So there's a passage in this chapter, and here's what James Clear has said. We don't choose our earliest habits, we imitate them. We follow the script handed down by our friends and family, our church or school, our local community and society at large. Each of these cultures and groups comes with its own set of expectations and standards. When and whether to get married, how many children to have, which holidays to celebrate, how much money to spend on our child's birthday party. In many ways, these social norms are the invisible rules that guide our behavior each day. You're always keeping them in mind, even if they're not at the top of your mind. Often you follow the habits of your culture without thinking, without questioning, and sometimes without remembering. As the French philosopher Michel de Montaigne wrote, the customs and practices of life and society sweep us along. What James Clear is saying is that it is human nature to want to fit in and have the feeling that you belong. And behaviors or habits that are attractive to that specific community, uh, uh, they are the ones that will be formed into our identity, and because they help us fit in. And what he discussed throughout the chapter is that we imitate three specific groups. The three groups are the close, that can be your family, your friends. Then the second group is the many, that could be the community you live in, the school you go to, the area you're from, or in the modern world, you could think of the type of videos people your age watch. So on YouTube, it could be the videos that you get recommended that have a million plus views. That's quote unquote the many. And finally, the third group that you may follow is the powerful. We imitate the powerful because they're in a position of success and they are living the best life possible for humans. So obviously, we want that for ourselves, so we're more likely to imitate their habits and make them part of our own lifestyle. So let's look a little bit deeply into imitating the clothes, which is the first group you are likely to follow. And here's what James had to say about it. We pick up habits from the people around us. We copy the way our parents handle arguments, the way our peers flirt with one another, the way our coworkers get results. When your friends smoke pot, you give it a try too. When your wife has a habit of double checking that the door is locked before going to bed, you pick it up as well. So the closer we are to someone, the more likely we are to imitate some of their habits. You may find that if you make a new friend and you start spending a lot of time with them, you may start laughing like them or talking like them or even standing like them, basically picking up a whole lot of their behavior. In the chapter, James discusses a study that found that if you're close to someone, like let's say a girlfriend or your fiance or something of that sort, if they were to gain weight, you're 57% likely to gain weight as well. And it also works the other way. If your partner was to slim down, then there's one third of a chance that you may slim down as well. And that just goes to show that whoever is close to you will probably define some of the habits that you follow in your daily life, maybe even unconsciously. Here's another passage. Of course, peer pressure is bad only if you're surrounded by bad influences. When astronaut Mike Massimino was a graduate student at MIT, he took a small robotics class. Of the 10 people in the class, 4 became astronauts. If your goal was to make it into space, then that room was about the best culture you could ask for. Similarly, one study found that the higher your best friend's IQ at age 11 or 12, the higher your IQ would be at age 15, even after controlling for natural levels of intelligence. We soak up the qualities and practices of those around us. To make lasting habits, join cultures where your desired behavior is normal and and find a group where you can already have something in common with them. Many people feel out of place when they try something new, so it helps a lot if you can find a group where they practice your desired habit and there's also some common ground. So let's say uh, you want to join a boxing club, right? You want to join a gym that because you want to learn boxing. It could be intimidating at first if you haven't done boxing at all, but what could help is that if the people around you, the people in that group who do boxing are around your age and share similar interests, for example, let's say they watch the same TV shows that you watch, or they play the same video games you play, or they enjoy listening to the same music that you listen to, the same artist, then it makes it easier for you to fit in with them and also motivates you to stick with that group and continue on with that desired habit. So now you have gone from thinking that you are an athlete, let's say, like if you're boxing, you think you're an athlete, like we discussed this in chapter 1 or 2. When you're doing a habit, think you are that I identify yourself as the person who does that habit. Like if you read a page, you're a reader. If you help your coworker, you are a leader. Things like that. So now you're going from just calling yourself a leader to a more broader spectrum where you're saying we are leaders. Now you're part of a community by joining a group, which will reinforce your habits and motivate you even more to pursue them. So it makes it attractive to do things that you may otherwise find very difficult to do. Another passage, nothing sustains motivation better than belonging to the tribe. It transforms a personal quest into a shared one. Previously, you were on your own. Your identity was singular. You are a reader. You are a musician. You are an athlete. When you join a book club or a band or a cycling group, your identity becomes linked to those around you. Growth and change is no longer an individual pursuit. We are readers, we are musicians, we are cyclists. The shared identity begins to reinforce your personal identity. This is why remaining part of a group after achieving a goal is crucial to maintaining your habits. It's friendship and community that embed a new identity and help behaviors last over the long run. Basically, what I just said um, earlier. So we'll move on to number 2, imitating the many. So here's the second group that you try to imitate. Whenever we are unsure of how to act, we look to the group to guide our behavior. An example could be that when you're buying something on Amazon, let's say, you may look at the reviews from other buyers to see what they think of the product. If the product has a lot of bad reviews, you're less likely to buy it. So that is one good example of imitating the many. And another passage on this, the human mind knows how to get along with others. It wants to get along with others. This is our natural mode. You can override it. You can choose to ignore the group or stop caring what other people think, but it takes work. Running against the grain of your culture requires extra effort. When changing your habits means challenging the tribe, change is unattractive. When changing your habits means fitting in with the tribe, change is very attractive. It just goes to show that the hive mind mentality, it can be seen especially on social media, like if an actor is being dissed on social media, and there's a lot of people already dissing him, you may be more likely to diss them too, or think of them in a negative context because everybody else is thinking of them in a negative context. Reddit is a really good example of this. A lot of people, a lot of communities on Reddit are just very black and white. They're either for you or against you. There is no middle ground. And what that does is it creates a hive mind mentality. When somebody is in the wrong, they're 100% wrong. When somebody is in the right, they're 100% right. There's many examples of this if you were to just scour over through social media. And that's why I think social media is one thing that should be used in moderation because it really limits your perspective because of what you see on there. Like if you see a certain type of meme and a lot of people like it, you're more likely to like it too, even if you didn't enjoy it, because it feels good to be part of a community, to be part of a group. But what I personally found is that social media is superficial. It's all an artificial way of creating a community. It's not a real community. It's just messages on a screen. You're not interacting with anybody. And if you let something like that create your opinions, then you will struggle in real life when you're talking to real people because they may not share those opinions. And what you will end up doing is you may think you're part of the majority that has a specific opinion. Like, let's say you like dogs and everybody else on social media likes dogs. And in real life, you meet a person who likes cats. You may find yourself to get offended even because to you, that person who likes cats is the minority and they're doing something wrong by questioning or going against a tribe. So that's why I say I went a little off topic here, but that's why I say that social media is it's a blessing because it gives you a community, but it's also a curse because it limits your perspective to such a narrow field. It gives you tunnel vision, and that's why I've basically deleted almost all social media from my phone. And it does give you a more wider perspective because now you have to go out of your way to research things and formulate your own opinions. I wouldn't say I'm perfect. It doesn't make you high and mighty because it actually takes more work to formulate your own opinion than just to pick up what the majority thinks. But that's how you get ahead, in my opinion. So let's move on to number three, imitating the powerful. If a behavior can get us approval, respect, and praise, it is highly attractive and habit forming. And here's one passage on it. We are drawn to behaviors that earn us respect, approval, admiration, and status. We want to be the one in the gym who can do muscle ups, or the musician who can play the hardest chord progressions, or the parent with the most accomplished children, because these things separate us from the crowd. Once we fit in, we start looking for ways to stand out. This is one reason we care so much about the habits of highly effective people. We try to copy the behavior of successful people because we desire success ourselves. Many of our daily habits are imitations of people we admire. You replicate the marketing strategies of the most successful firms in your industry. You make a recipe from your favorite baker. You borrow the storytelling strategies of your favorite writer. You mimic the communication style of your boss. We imitate people we envy. High status people enjoy the approval, respect, and praise of others, and that means if a behavior can get us approval, respect, and praise, we find it attractive. We are also motivated to avoid behaviors that would lower our status. We trim our hedges and mow our lawn because we don't want to be the slob of the neighborhood. When our mother comes to visit, we clean up the house because we don't want to be judged. We are continually wondering, what will others think of me? And altering our behavior based on the answer. So that's what I have for this chapter, but a few thoughts on this is if you are going too deep into what others think of you, it usually ends up harming you because you forget to start thinking for yourself. You go get a 9 to 5 job and you work it for years and years on end, not because it makes you happy or it gives you finances, but because it gives you something to relate to with 99% of other people. Even though everybody whines about their 9 to 5 job, everybody has a 9 to 5 job. So even though they don't like it, they have something that is relatable with the rest of the world. Now, if you don't have a job, people look at you weird. Like I'm talking about as an adult. If you don't have a job, but everybody expects you to have a job, then you are no longer part of the tribe, and that causes anxiety. That's why a lot of young people, when they get out of college, they are extremely stressed out because they can't find a job, and because they don't have a job, nobody wants to be associated with them in one way, shape, or form. Like their friends are still their friends, but if their friends have a job and they don't, I'm pretty sure that at least one of them will think of the person with no job as a bum, because that's what society has told us what these people are. And it's really, really important that you break out of the cycle of trying to please the world and really understand how you can please yourself while pleasing the world. You want to be a high value man. Being a high value person means that you're providing something to the world, or a high value woman, you know. But it also means that you're able to provide something for yourself. You have to remember that before you can help others, you have to learn to help yourself. If you're a sloth, if you can't help yourself with anything, if you're irresponsible or not self-reliant, then how can you help anybody else? So before you try to imitate the powerful, you should try to understand what side effects that will bring into your life. And this is something that I'm still trying to learn. I'm 22 years old, I'm still in college, and I mean, these are things that cross my mind a lot. It's just you want to be happy, but happiness to you would be uh, in one way, shape, or form disgraceful to your parents or community, because I don't want to work a 9 to 5 job. I don't want to do a lot of things that the world wants me to do. And uh, me not doing those things would mean that I wouldn't fit in with society. And sometimes it's just important that you don't fit in, because eventually you'll do something so great that people will praise you for it. But anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. This was chapter 9, and this was a lot more heavy on theory. It was very short, but it does kind of lay a good foundation for the coming chapters. So I'll see you in chapter 10, and until then, take care and have a nice day.